Hey everyone, I hope you're well. This is the story about what if Naruto was kidnapped and became a Kumo Shinobi. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. So without any further ado, let's start the what if. I was hoping for the chance to fight you, but I never dreamed it would be so soon. Lee said as he stared down Neji. You've always said that hard work beats natural talent. Today, I'm going to show you how untrue that is. Neji said as he activated his Byakugan. Don't bother trying to attack me mentally. You know I'm not one to be intimidated. Fine then. No more words. Just action. Like men. Both young men got into their respective fighting stances. Lee made the first move. He charged at Neji and delivered a flurry of punches which Neji deflected with his palms. Neji then countered with a spinning roundhouse kick which Lee blocked by grabbing Neji's ankle and tossing him away. Neji spun in midair and landed gracefully. Lee was on Neji again instantly, this time with an axe kick which Neji barely dodged. The impact of Lee's kick created a small crater in the floor. It was Neji's turn to go on the offensive. He rushed at Lee and jabbed at his torso multiple times with the gentle fist. His offense was brought to a halt when Lee managed to grab one of Neji's hands mid-strike. Lee twisted his arm into a submission hold. Do you wish to submit? The proctor asked Neji. No. Neji yelled as his arm started glowing blue. Lee suddenly lost his grip on Neji's arm and Neji managed to slip away. Once his arm was free, Neji attempted a palm strike to Lee's chest, who jumped away to avoid it. You expelled chakra from your arm in order to break my hold. Only a true genius like yourself could come up with such a tactic. Lee said with a smile. I'm impressed you've lasted this long. I was hoping to save this for later, but it seems fate won't allow that. Neji shifted his stance. Oh my god. He would really use that technique on his friend? Hinata said, recognizing the stance. It's because he's his friend that Neji feels he must use that technique. Lee and Neji's sensei guy spoke up. Neji will never admit this, but he has nothing but respect for Lee. That is why he can go all out against him. To use anything less than 100% of his power would be an insult to Lee. Lee, you're in the range of my 8 trigrams. Suddenly Neji rushed at Lee and started bombarding Lee with a series of finger jabs to points all over his body. 8 trigrams, 2 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms. 16 palms, 32 palms. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Once his assault was complete, Lee crumpled to the floor. It's over. Neji said as he turned to leave. The winner of the match is Neji Hyu. No. Everyone was shocked at the sight. Lee was getting up. You should have stayed down, Lee. I can't be held responsible if you get injured beyond repair. Neji stated as he turned around. You are willing to go all out against me. The least I can do is return the favor. Lee started to unfold the bandages on his arms. Once they were loosened enough, Lee got into his stance once again. Your chakra network has been sealed. Even that attack won't be enough to defeat me now. Neji stated arrogantly. We shall see. First gate open. Suddenly Lee's body was filled with an incredible energy. So much energy in fact that his closed-off chakra network was forced back open. What? Neji yelled as he saw this all unfold with his Byakugan. Lee rushed forward with even more speed than before and kicked Neji straight up into the air. Dancing leaf shadow. Lee called out as he appeared behind Neji. His arm wrappings suddenly engulfed Neji's body, holding him in place. The two started violently spinning as they dropped to the ground. Right before they made contact, Lee let Neji go and managed to get to safety before Neji violently smashed into the ground head first. Lee fell backwards onto his rear exhausted. When the dust cleared, Neji was in the middle of a crater trying to force himself to stand up. As I expected, you released chakra from the top of your head to cushion the fall. I told you that move wouldn't be enough to finish me. Now that you've used it, you're too tired to fight back. And you're too tired to capitalize. It seems whoever manages to strike the next blow will be victorious. Yes, I believe you're right. Then it's time I go all out. Second gate open. Lee's body is filled with energy as he stands up. Third gate open. Lee's skin turns a dark red color. Fourth gate open. Lee's muscles start bulging and pulsating veins appear all over his body. Fifth gate open. Lee's body is releasing so much power that a crater starts forming under his feet. Ayah! Lee charges directly at Niji. Even with all that power, fate is still on my side. Rotation. Niji suddenly starts spinning and releasing a huge wave of chakra in a dome shape around his body. Lee and Niji clash, causing a huge explosion to occur. When the dust settles, both of them are down, but only one is out. I did it! Lee proclaimed as he struggled to sit up. The winner of the match is Rockley. The proctor announced. Whoa, that guy is awesome. I hope I get to fight him later. Naruto said in awe. Brother Niji. He managed to use that technique. Hinata squeaked out, practically inaudible. Guy-sensei, I think I might need to see a doctor. I can't feel my legs. Or my arms. Or my torso. Or my... Don't worry, Lee. That's a side effect of opening that many gates. You should be back to normal in about a week or so. Guy explained as he jumped down to help Lee get up. Just in case, I'll take the two of you to the medics right away. After the two of them were cleared out and the Hokage used an earth-style jutsu to fix all the craters in the ground, the next match was started. The second match is Keruwe versus Shino Aburame. Alright. Go out there and kick some ass, Keruwe. Naruto yelled, hoping to fire up his teammate. Don't take this guy lightly, Keruwe. The Aburame are a tough clan. Yugito cautioned as Keruwe turned to leave. I've done my homework. Don't worry about me. She retorted as she made her way down to the fighting area where she met with Shino. Ready? Begin. The proctor announced. Shino backed away, instantly covering his tracks with a kunai wrapped in an exploding tag. Keruwe managed to avoid the explosion, but it succeeded in its purpose. Shino was now at long range, which is exactly where he wanted to be. He unleashed the bugs from his sleeve and sent them directly toward Keruwe. You think you can beat me with those weak-ass, keep-away tactics? Keruwe said as she flashed through a bunch of hand signs. Fire-style, curtain of flames jutsu. She slammed her hands on the ground and a huge wall of fire erupted in front of her, incinerating the bugs Shino had sent toward her. While the wall of flame was still up, she prepared another jutsu. Fire-style, flame tongue jutsu. She spat a stream of fire onto the blade of her sword and then dispelled the wall of fire. She rushed toward Shino, who sent another wave of bugs toward her. This time Keruwe rushed through the onslaught of bugs using her flaming sword to burn them all. She made it all the way to Shino and attacked with a jumping sword attack. As he was cut, Shino's body split apart, revealing itself as a bug clone he had set up after Keruwe had summoned her curtain of flame. The real Shino came up behind Keruwe and locked her in a full Nelson. It's over. As soon as I touched you, my bugs started attaching themselves to your body. If I give the signal, they'll suck your chakra dry. Suck on this, bug boy. Keruwe dropped her sword and the flames created a ring of fire around the two. The heat was starting to get to Shino and he was sweating profusely. Keruwe, on the other hand, was perfectly fine. You and your bugs aren't used to this kind of heat, are you? I've trained my body to resist extreme heat so I could sit here all day. Who's got the upper hand now, jackass? Shino let go of his hold on Keruwe and took a knee. I submit. If I continue the fight, I'll only sacrifice more of my bugs. The winner of the match is Keruwe. The proctor announced. It was a good match. Shino said to Keruwe as he walked back up to his teammates. Right back at you, Bugsy. Keruwe retorted happily as she walked back up to her teammates. Now for the third match. The proctor announced as the monitor started randomly going through the remaining contestants' names again. The next match will be Tenten versus Hinata Hyuga. It's my turn already. Hinata quietly said. Kurenai put her hand on Hinata's shoulder and gave her a reassuring nod. You'll do fine, Hinata. Kurenai bent down and whispered into Hinata's ear. Just pretend your opponent is Enko and she keeps asking you sexual questions. Hinata's face lit up with anger and she almost started yelling at her sensei. She managed to control herself, however, and walked down to the fight area. Tenten was already on her way down when she was met by Guy and her two teammates returning. Should you two really be up and about after that? Tenten asked with a hint of worry in her voice. The doctors said we are both fine enough to watch the rest of the preliminaries. Niji responded. Well, you two came just in time for my match. I'm fighting your cousin. You aren't even going to say anything? Forget it then. Tenten walked off with Hinata right behind her. Hinata glanced at Niji, who glanced back at her, but the two said nothing to each other. The two combatants got into their respective fighting stances and stared each other down in the middle of the arena. Right before the match was started, Hinata took one last look at Naruto. Naruto was looking at her with a huge smile on his face. He winked at her, and that one simple gesture filled Hinata with so much confidence that she knew this match was hers to win. Ready? Begin. Hinata took the offensive, immediately dashing straight at Tenten. Tenten was used to fighting the gentle fist style because of her sparring with Niji, so she expected this. She jumped into the air and pulled out a weapon scroll. She sent a barrage of kunai toward Hinata. Hinata pulled out a kunai, and thanks to her Byakugan was able to block all of the kunai sent her way with ease. When Tenten landed, Hinata was on her immediately with gentle fist strikes to her arms and torso. Tenten managed to get a good gut punch on Hinata, and while she was momentarily stunned, Tenten backed away and pulled out two more scrolls from her pockets. You're tougher than you look, but no one besides Niji has been able to block this attack. Tenten jumped into the air and her two scrolls started to surround her in a double helix. Tenten started pulling weapon after weapon out of the scrolls and tossing them with deadly accuracy toward Hinata. I can't block all of that, Hinata frantically thought. Hinata quickly tried to sort through her options in the seconds she had left. She couldn't block all of those weapons. There were just way too many. She couldn't dodge because the weapons covered way too much area. This is impossible. How could anyone block all of this? No one besides Niji has been able to block this attack. Those words rang through her head and Hinata knew what she had to do. The rotation was the only technique capable of saving her. The only problem was her father hadn't taught her that technique yet. It's a very chakra-reliant technique and her father wanted to wait until her chakra pool was larger before attempting to teach her. But Niji learned it on his own without anyone teaching him. I must at least try, she thought before getting into position. She knew the basics of the technique. Simply spin at high speed and release a wave of chakra to create a dome around you. The problem was simply knowing at what speed to spin and how much chakra to use. She decided to just go as fast as she possibly could and release as much chakra as she possibly could. As the barrage of deadly weaponry was about to strike, Hinata steeled her resolve and committed herself to her technique. Rotation, she yelled as she began the technique. She began spinning and releasing her chakra and managed to knock back almost all of the weapons before running out of power. It was enough, however, as she pulled out another kunai and managed to deflect the remaining weapons except for the very last kunai, which embedded itself into her side. Ayah! Tenten landed and had a look of respect on her face. It quickly subsided when she realized this was her chance to finish the fight and she rushed at Hinata. Hinata pulled the kunai out of her side and forced herself to stand up. Tenten threw a punch straight at Hinata's head, but she ducked it and grabbed Tenten around the waist. Using her natural flexibility, she bent backwards and threw Tenten up and over her head. She landed with a thud on her back, with the pain forcing her eyes closed. When she opened them, she saw Hinata hunched over her holding a kunai up to her throat. "I've seen enough. The winner of the match is Hinata Hyuga," the proctor announced. "I actually won?" Hinata asked, stunned. She looked up to see Kurenai smiling down at her and was filled with pride. She then snuck a glance at Naruto, who was blushing. "Did you see how far she bent backwards there, Naruto? I bet she could contort into some real kinky positions with flexibility like that. I swear to God, Kurama. Don't pretend like you weren't thinking that too, motherfucker." After the weapons were all cleaned up and the monitor sorted through the remaining names, it was time for the next match. Naruto Uzumaki vs Sasuke Uchiha is the next match. "Hold still while I patch you up," the medic said to Hinata as he healed her wounded side. "Thank you," Hinata said to the medic. "No need to thank me. It's my job. By the way, you were pretty lucky. That knife didn't go too far in and it didn't hit anything vital. You'll be just fine," the medic explained. "Hinata, you did great," Kiba exclaimed happily. "Indeed," Shino said in his usual stoic manner. "Hinata, I'm so proud of you. I'm sure your father would be too if he saw what you did," Kurenai said, hoping to instill some more confidence into her favorite student. "I don't care what father thinks." "Hinata? Okay, that should do it. If the wound gives her any more trouble, send her to the medic's room right away." The medic packed up his tools and left. "Hinata, why did you say that about your father?" "I'm not going anywhere near this one," Kiba thought as he grabbed Shino by the elbow and dragged him away, leaving the two females by themselves. Naruto Uzumaki vs Sasuke Uchiha is the next match, the proctor announced. Hinata instantly perked up. She looked across the room toward Naruto and their eyes locked for a brief second. Returning the favor from earlier, she winked at him. "Yaiyawiyaha. Bonsai," Naruto screamed as he dove off the railing toward the fighting area. He slammed straight into the ground with a thud and created a small crater with his body. "Oh my god." Almost everyone screamed, thinking Naruto had just killed himself in his overenthusiasm to get to his fight. After laying face down on the ground for a few seconds, Naruto picked himself up and said with a huge grin, "Oops. Looks like I really hit rock bottom. Ha 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 ha. Boo-boo." The room erupted with jeers for Naruto's stupid prank and terrible joke. Hinata was stunned, but after a few seconds she finally allowed herself a slight chuckle at the boy's antics. Meanwhile, Sasuke was staring down at Naruto with intensity. He not only survived that fall, but he did more damage to the solid stone floor than he did to his own body. This guy may be a clown, but he's a strong one. Sasuke also jumped off the railing, but he landed gracefully on his feet. "Ready? Begin," the proctor announced. Sasuke immediately activated his Sharingan and stared down Naruto. "Okay, just like Kakashi showed me," Sasuke thought as he attempted to hypnotize Naruto with the Sharingan. He stared directly into Naruto's eyes for a few seconds. "I know my eyes are pretty, but do you really have to stare at them like that?" Naruto said, getting a little freaked out. "What? Why isn't my genjutsu working?" Sasuke blurted out. "Ha! Is that what you're doing? That stuff doesn't work on me. I'm immune to it." "The hell? Do you have some sort of bloodline trait or something?" "Sure, let's go with that." Naruto put his hands together in the infamous cross hand sign and prepared to do his signature jutsu. That hand sign, Sasuke thought as he recognized that jutsu. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto yelled as 5 solid clones of him came into existence. "You didn't copy it. I guess that means you know about this jutsu then," Naruto said with a hint of disappointment. Shadow Clone Jutsu. By splitting the amount of chakra in your body evenly, you create solid clones capable of recon and combat. Considered a forbidden technique because of the strain it puts on the user's body. Most jonin can't create more than a few without collapsing of chakra exhaustion. You didn't think I would be dumb enough to copy such a technique and tire myself out, did you? Sasuke said in an arrogant know-it-all tone. Honestly, no. You can't blame a guy for trying though, can you? It would have been an easy win if you fell for it. Naruto said with a smirk creeping its way onto his face. Yeah, it would have. Sasuke said, returning the smile. A begrudging respect forming between the two. Alright boys, go do your thing. Naruto ordered to his clones. The 5 clones charged at Sasuke, who kept his calm. He grabbed one of the clones by the arm and slammed him into the ground, dispelling him. A second clone came from behind and grabbed Sasuke in a sleeper hold. Sasuke stomped on the clone's foot, dispelling it just in time to dodge the punch from the third clone. Sasuke grabbed his arm and spun him around, making him collide with the 4th clone. The 5th clone rushed at Sasuke only to be kicked in the head and dispelled easily. Gah! Try this on for size. Shadow Clone Jutsu. This time Naruto created 10 clones who all charged at Sasuke. Fire Style Grand Fireball Jutsu. Sasuke yelled as he ran through his own hand signs and incinerated the 10 clones instantly. Naruto was getting angry that his favorite jutsu wasn't working on this guy. As he put his hands into the cross hand sign once again, he heard the sound of a fist hitting metal and looked up at his team behind him. You have other moves, dumbass. Keruwe yelled down at him. Her fist being what made the sound as it slammed down on the metal railing. But I like the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto yelled back. As he turned back to the fight, he saw Sasuke directly in front of him. With a mighty kick, Naruto was sent flying straight into the air. That's my technique. Lee said, shocked. It looks like Sasuke was watching the earlier fights with a bit more interest than I thought he was. Kakashi said with an obvious smile underneath his mask. I hate to see Sensei's son fail, but I have my own students to worry about now. He thought, slightly sad. Dancing Leaf Shadow. Sasuke said with complete confidence. Not gonna work, buddy. Naruto said as he began to take a deep breath. What the? Sasuke watched as Naruto inhaled more air than should have been humanly possible. Once he inhaled so much that his stomach was bulging, he exhaled and created a mighty gust of wind that forced his body back down. He slammed right into Sasuke and the two collided with the ground. Since he was on the bottom, Sasuke took a lot more damage than Naruto did. Naruto jumped up and dusted himself off. God, that move really irritates my throat. Naruto said before having a minor fit of coughs. Sasuke forced himself to stand up. How the hell did you do that? He asked Naruto. Wind style. Naruto responded once his minor coughing fit was over. Wind style. That gives me an idea. Let's see how that wind style of yours stacks up to my fire style. Sasuke flashed through his hand signs again and prepared his grand fireball technique. Naruto did the same for one of his wind techniques. Fire style Grand Fireball Jutsu. Wind style Grand Gust Jutsu. The two boys' attacks collided and Sasuke's immediately overtook Naruto's. Oh shit! Naruto yelled as he watched the now double in size fireball speed toward him. Naruto slammed his hands on the ground right before the fireball overtook him. And that's that. He may have been strong, but his wind style was the worst possible matchup for an Uchiha's fire style. Sasuke said as he walked away. Where are you going? Giving up already? A voice came from the fire that was still blazing. Sasuke turned around shocked. The fire died down and in the middle was a dome made of woven together chakra chains. The dome disappeared to reveal an unscathed Naruto. I'll admit that you tricked me real good there, but thankfully I was able to make that shield just in time. Sasuke rushed at Naruto, intent to the end match. Naruto was ready however, and the two boys clashed. Sasuke's style of fighting was a lot more refined than Naruto's, but Naruto's body was significantly stronger than Sasuke's. Even though Sasuke was scoring a lot more direct hits on Naruto, they weren't doing any real damage, and likewise even though Naruto wasn't getting many clean hits on Sasuke, each one was taking a visible toll on the boy. After they went back and forth for a while, Sasuke backed away. "It's like fighting a brick wall," he yelled in frustration. "It was fun, but it's time I use my ultimate technique and end this. Transform." Naruto had used his patented sexy jutsu and transformed into his busty female form, this time wearing nothing but an orange bikini that was about a size too small for the female Naruto's sizable assets. "Sexy jutsu. You like what you see, Sasuke baby?" the female Naruto asked in a sultry voice. Sasuke couldn't respond. His mouth was wide open and his face was flushed. He suddenly took a weird stance and put his hands over his groin area as if he was hiding something. "Is that a kunai in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?" the female Naruto kept toying with Sasuke. Meanwhile, in the stand, Sakura was furious. "I can't get a reaction out of Sasuke no matter what I wear, but this gender-bending weirdo gets him hot just by wearing a bikini and talking like a common whore." Everyone near Sakura started backing away from her at this point. She was so angry, she was practically exuding an aura of pure rage. Back with the fight, Naruto got on his knees and started slowly crawling towards Sasuke. "Sasuke baby, my boobs hurt. Would you mind massaging them for me? I'll massage you in return." Sasuke was beyond Hinata level of red-faced. His arms and legs were actually getting numb from the lack of blood flow. Sakura had enough of this. She brought her fists down on the metal railing with so much force she actually broke it. "Sasuke, I swear to God, if you don't get your fucking mind out of the gutter and kick this freaky slut's ass, I will go down there and rip your tiny little dick off. Do you understand? You stupid horny little fuck." Everyone watching was taken aback by Sakura's brash and violent outburst. None more than Sasuke, who snapped out of his horny trance and looked up at Sakura. "Yes ma'am," he managed to say out loud. He kept his eyes locked on Sakura for a few seconds after he acknowledged her. "Sakura's never yelled at me before. I kind of like it," Sasuke thought to himself as his blush subsided. Too bad for Sasuke that the few seconds he wasted looking up at the livid pink-haired banshee was enough for Naruto to undo his sexy jutsu and rush in for the finishing blow. "Yo Sasuke, hold this for me," Naruto yelled as he slapped a seal onto Sasuke's chest. The seal immediately activated, causing 2 chakra chains to fly out and embed themselves into the ground. Naruto then jumped onto Sasuke's back and embedded another 2 chakra chains into the ceiling from his hands. Naruto got a firm grip on Sasuke with his legs, and used the chakra chains and the ceiling like a grappling hook to zip up to the ceiling. Once all the way up, Naruto let go of Sasuke, sending him crashing down to the ground, the 2 chakra chains keeping him from escaping. He crashed into the ground with force, but it wasn't over yet. Naruto let go of his chakra chains and dropped down on Sasuke with a devastating drop kick. Sasuke was out cold. "The winner of the match is Naruto Uzumaki," the proctor announced. None of the Leaf Genin could believe it. The last Uchiha had been defeated decisively by a complete unknown. Kakashi jumped down and picked up Sasuke. "You did well to beat my student. Be warned that he won't take the loss very lightly. Tell him to keep training and fight me again sometime. I'll always accept a challenge from someone tough like him." Naruto turned and walked back up to his team. Kakashi decided to take Sasuke to the medics to make sure nothing was broken after Naruto's finisher. After the Hokage once again fixed the craters in the floor, it was time for the next match. The next match is Kankarow versus Sakura Hirono. "Cha!" Sakura screamed as she leapt from the balcony and slammed her fist into the ground, leaving yet another huge crater in the floor. "Hayamaha!" The Hokage mentally screamed as he knew he was going to have to once again fix that crater. "Wow! That girl may look like a toothpick, but she's got some power behind those punches. Kankarow nonchalantly observed as he calmly walked down to the fight area. Ready? Begin. Cha! Sakura yelled, ready to fight. She brandished a kunai and charged at Kankarow. Kankarow didn't even put up a fight as Sakura stabbed his chest with the kunai. Surprisingly, there was no blood flowing from the wound and Kankarow shrugged it off like it was nothing. He wrapped his arms around Sakura in a bear hug and started to crush her. Cha! Sakura yelled again as she started bombarding Kankarow's face with punches as he slowly squeezed the life out of her. Eventually she landed a punch so hard that it caused his face to start to crack and fall off, revealing that what Sakura was fighting wasn't actually Kankarow, but a puppet disguised as him. You aren't real. That means I don't have to hold back. Sakura grabbed the fake Kankarow by the shoulders and started squeezing. It didn't take long for the joints in the puppet's shoulders to break under Sakura's death grip. His arms fell to the side useless and Sakura decided to give the puppet a bear hug of her own as payback. She squeezed with all her might and snapped the puppet in half in a matter of seconds and threw it to the side. Now that I broke your stupid little dolly, you can come out now, she said, looking around for the real Kankarow. Kankarow revealed himself as hiding in the bandaged up heap on the back of his puppet. He looked incredibly irritated at Sakura's dolly comment. They aren't dolls, they're ninja puppets. Do you have any idea how much time and money it takes to build one of those? It'll probably cost me a month's worth of D-rank missions to buy the parts one need to fix the one you just broke. That's not even taking into consideration the time it'll take me to actually do the repairs. Oh, cry me a river, toy man. Maybe if you didn't spend so much time playing with your dolls you wouldn't be about to get your ass kicked. We'll see who gets their ass kicked, Pinky. Kankarow reached into his pocket for a weapon, but Sakura was on him too fast for him to get it out. She ran over and delivered an earth-shattering punch to the face of Kankarow, and he was sent flying across the battlefield. Fuck. This crazy bitch hits harder than Tamari does when she's on her period. I guess I'm going to have to fight dirty, Kankarow thought to himself as he stood up. He once again reached for a weapon in his pocket and Sakura once again rushed in for a punch. Kankarow had it scouted this time though and was able to dodge it. He pulled out a small purple ball and threw it on the ground, causing a huge smoke cloud to appear. Both young ninja jumped out of the smoke cloud. Kankarow pulled out a small vial and drank the contents. Sakura on the other hand was breathing heavy and looked like she was about to drop dead on the spot. The hell did you just do? Sakura asked as she continued to have breathing problems. A special kind of poison of my own invention. You're gonna die in less than 5 minutes. Unless of course you forfeit right now. If you do, I'll give you the antidote. You dirty little. I quit. Sakura collapsed on the ground. Kankarow walked up to her body and placed a vial of antidote right next to her. You're lucky I'm a nice guy. There's no rule that says I can't just leave it up to the medics to synthesize their own antidote. Maybe you'll respect the next puppet master you face. The winner of the match is Kankarow, the proctor announced. The medics were quickly called in and they took Sakura away after administering the antidote. The Hokage once again had to use an earth jutsu to fix the crater Sakura created. Please God, no more craters, he thought as he finished up. The next match is Kiba Inuzuka vs Ino Yamanaka. Yahoo! Kiba and Akamichi jumped down while Ino casually walked to the fight area. When both combatants were ready, the fight was started. I'll tell you what, since we've known each other since the academy, I'll go easy on you, Kiba said arrogantly. Go easy on your boyfriend when you're jacking him off, dog boy. Punks like you shouldn't be so full of themselves, Ino retorted, visibly angry at Kiba's tone. Whyu. You'll pay for that. Kiba took out a smoke bomb and threw it at Ino's feet where it exploded. Alright, Akamichi. Let's teach her a lesson she won't soon forget. Kiba suddenly stopped talking. His body was still for a few seconds before he started moving again. My name's Kiba Inuzuka. I'm the world's biggest furry. I like to dress up like a dog and get ass fucked by my boyfriend. Rainbows make me cry. I hold the world record for the world's tiniest dick. Kiba started running around in circles and jumping around like an idiot while Akamichi watched confused. Everyone who knew about the Yamanaka's bloodline trait knew exactly what was going on. The ones who didn't were very confused. The hell is going on here? Why did this weirdo just decide to reveal all his dirty secrets to the world? Keruwe asked. I think the girl just took over his mind. Yamanakas can do that. Yugito casually remarked. The smoke started to clear and Ino's body was seen slumped over as if she was asleep. I like to wear my mom's makeup and dress in her clothes when she isn't home. I drink out of the toilet bowl. My favorite T.V show is My Little Pony. I like My Little Pony. Hinata thought. What's wrong with a guy liking My Little Pony? Naruto thought. Hey, Proctor. Since Ino is such an awesome kunoichi who's better than me in every single way, you should let her win. I forfeit. The winner of the match is Ino Yamanaka. Now would you please go back to your own body? This stopped being funny a while ago. Kiba collapsed to the ground holding his head while Ino stood up with a huge grin on her face. Hey dog boy, the next time you try to blind someone with a smoke bomb you may want to make sure they aren't an adept chakra sensor like me. Ino happily walked back up to her team while Kiba looked to the proctor. What did she make me do? Kiba asked, hoping he wasn't made out to be a total fool while under Ino's control. Among other things, she made you admit to being both a homosexual and a furry. Kiba walked back up to his team. The shame was evident on his face, and he knew Kurenai was going to put him through hell after this was all over. The next match is Omoi vs Shikamaru Nara. I was hoping I would be last. What a drag. Good luck, Shikamaru. Kick his ass. Ino yelled in Shikamaru's ear. I really don't feel up to this, I may just for. Shikamaru's sensei grabbed him and tossed him over the railing before he could finish his sentence. Shikamaru, of course, landed on his feet. He looked up at Asuma, clearly irritated. Asuma just smiled at him. That was kind of harsh, wasn't it, Asuma? Kurenai asked. I was just motivating him. No big deal. Asuma cheekily retorted. Omoi was already down in the fight area and was watching the scene unfold with interest. I guess the rumors about Naras are true. They are all lazy bums. Ready? Begin. Unlike the other matches, where the action started right away, the two boys just stared at each other at first. Hey, are you gonna make a move or what? Shikamaru lazily asked. I was going to let you go first. Omoi responded. I don't feel like it. You go first. I don't feel like it either. You go first. Hurry the fuck up. Ino and Keruwe both yelled down at their lazy comrades. The two boys cowered in fear of their angry female teammates for a second before nodding up to them. Omoi rushed at Shikamaru, who prepared a jutsu. Shikamaru's shadow suddenly elongated and slithered across the ground straight at Omoi. Omoi was able to dodge it luckily, and he kept backing up until he was out of range. Okay, looks like my sword is useless in this fight. I'm going to have to fight this from long range. Omoi started preparing a jutsu. Just as I expected. He's resorting to his elemental jutsu. Lightning style, thunderbolt jutsu. Omoi's sword was covered in electricity. With a swing of the sword, all of the electricity was discharged toward Shikamaru. Shikamaru was just barely able to dodge it, but the lightning still smashed up the floor. Today was not the Hokage's day. He was dead tired from fixing all these craters with his earth jutsu. This is too troublesome. I'm ending it. Shikamaru rushed at Omoi with a kunai in hand. Omoi once again used his Thunderbolt Jutsu, but this time Shikamaru had a plan to counter it. Shikamaru threw his kunai at the ground in front of him, and the kunai was able to somehow redirect the lightning toward it, instead like a lightning rod. Shikamaru was now in range to use his shadow imitation technique, which he successfully did. Shadow imitation, success. It's over now. Okay, you got my shadow, but how do you plan to end it without a team? All you can do right now is make me copy you. You have a weapon in your hands. I don't. Shikamaru forced Omoi to mimic him in a way that looked like he was going to stab himself in the chest. Since Shikamaru had no weapon in his hand, he was totally safe. Omoi had his sword out, however. He was in danger of stabbing himself in the stomach if Shikamaru wanted him to. I get it. Looks like you win. The winner of the match is Shikamaru Nara. Shikamaru released his technique and picked up his discarded kunai. Let me guess, that kunai is made of chakra metal, isn't it? That's why it absorbed my lightning strike. That's correct. Shikamaru said as he walked away. Man, I really had no chance in that one. Omoi nonchalantly walked away as well. After the Hokage had to fix the floor for what felt to him like the 1000th time in a day, the next match was started. Gaara vs Yoroi Akato is the next match. Who the heck is Yoroi? Naruto thought. He is the only member of the silver-haired boys team who stayed to fight. He's been standing quietly by himself this whole time. The two met in the fight area and the match was begun. Just as soon as it started, it ended. Gaara encased Yoroi in a dome of sand and crushed him within seconds. Fodder. I want to kill someone who'll put up a fight, Gaara said as he walked away. The sand that crushed his opponent flowing back into his gourd, revealing the mangled corpse of Yoroi. As Gaara's sand crept away from his victim's mangled corpse, the genin all averted their eyes. Just one glance was all that was necessary. Bones sticking out of the skin, blood pooling under the body, and assorted organs spilling out of the gaping hole in the torso. Just one glance was enough for that image to be burned into each and every genin's mind. The Hokage ordered for the body to be removed as fast as possible. They cleaned it up so fast that Gaara was still walking up the stairs when they were done. Hey 8, please start the final match so we can be done, the Hokage said, the regret evident in his voice. No one should have to see a sight like that. Especially not children. Yes, sir. The final two remaining combatants are Tamari and Choji Akamichi. As Tamari walked down, she passed by Gaara. Tamari, Gaara said as he passed by her. His cold voice caused Tamari to stop dead in her tracks out of fear. Yes. Hurry up. Gaara walked away and Tamari jumped over the railing. Choji was looking hesitant as he walked, so Asuma decided to give him some motivation. Hey Choji, if you win I'll take you out for some barbecue. Choji's eyes lit up and he ran so fast he was practically a blur. Within a second he was face to face to Tamari with fire in his eyes. Ready? Begin. The match was started and both genin came out in full force right from the get-go. Expansion Jutsu. Choji's body turned into a giant ball and he started barreling down on Tamari. Wind style, wind scythe jutsu. Tamari unfolded her fan and sent a deadly wind attack toward Choji. Choji collided with the attack and a huge cloud of dust kicked up. When the dust settled, Choji was knocked out on the floor. The winner of the match is Tamari. Now can every genin who won please come down here? We're going to set up the matches for the final phase of the exam. Every winner came down and took a ball from a box. The balls all had numbers on them and the numbers were used to determine a bracket. The first match is Naruto Uzumaki vs Rockley. Naruto and Lee looked at each other and smiled. They flashed each other a thumbs up, knowing they were going to have an amazing match. The second match is Keruwe vs Gaara. Keruwe tensed up at this news. Even if by some miracle she beat this monster, she either had to fight her teammate or someone strong enough to beat her teammate. she was screwed no matter what. The third match is Tamari versus Hinata Hyuga. The two girls looked at each other. Tamari was confident she could win, but Hinata on the other hand wasn't so sure. The fourth match is Ino Yamanaka versus Kankarow. Ino stared down Kankarow with a fire in her eyes. This guy's gonna pay for what he did to Sakura. Why do I have to fight all these crazy leaf dames? Kankarow solemnly thought. Since we have an uneven amount of genin left, Shikamaru Nara will receive a bye and fight the winner of Ino Yamanaka versus Kankarow. Something actually went in my favor for once. That's nice. Shikamaru lazily commented. You all have 1 month to train for the final examination. You are dismissed. Everyone started leaving with their teams. Kurenai pulled Hinata to the side to talk to her real quick. Hinata, you go on home and I'll come see you later tonight. These other two aren't getting off scot-free after those terrible performances. Especially Kiba. Kurenai walked up to her other two students and grabbed Kiba by his ear. She dragged him away while Shino and Akamichi followed close behind. Hinata took her sensei's advice and began the walk home. There was a tunnel under the tower that led outside of the forest, so none of the genin had to worry about dealing with that hell hole again. At the entrance to the tunnel, Niji was waiting. You used too much, Niji said as Hinata walked by him. Brother Niji. Chakra. You used way too much chakra. If you had used less, you would have been able to sustain the rotation for longer and avoided injury. That is something we must work on in the coming month. Niji, thank you. Do not thank me. In fact, I suspect you will be cursing me soon enough. Meet me at my team's training grounds tomorrow morning. Then our training shall begin. Until then you should get plenty of rest. Niji walked off. Meanwhile, Naruto's team was already on the trek through the tunnel and Yugito was trying to figure out what to do about training. I think you should focus on Keruwe, sis. My opponent is tough, but he's no killer like Gaara is. She needs more help than me. Naruto told his sister, hoping she would agree with him. But then what are you gonna do for training? Yugito did agree with Naruto, but she didn't want to leave him to train on his own for a whole month. I'll be fine. I can handle my own training for a month. Okay. I'm trusting you to do this, Naruto. I don't want to hear about you causing any trouble instead of training. You worry too much. It'll be fine. Naruto? Yeah, Kurama. I'm all for training, but how about we stop by the hot springs later? We deserve a little rest and relaxation after that ordeal. You read my mind, Kurama. Let's do it after we get some ramen. I'm starving. Once they reached the end of the tunnel, Naruto claimed he was hungry and ran toward Ichiraka Ramen, leaving his team in the dust. There he goes. Well, I guess you guys do deserve a rest. Let's go eat some real food. No ice cream or ramen this time. Keruwe, I'll let you pick. Naruto arrived at Ichiraka Ramen and was surprised to find someone else there besides him. Hey, aren't you one of the guys who just left the Chunin exams? The silver-haired boy who left before the preliminaries was sitting at the counter eating a bowl of ramen. Oh, you must be the Cloud boy I've heard so much about. Naruto, right? I'm Kabuto. Nice to meet you. Kabuto extended his hand toward Naruto for a shake, but Naruto was hesitant. You haven't heard about what happened to your teammate yet, have you? Did the idiot go and get himself killed? Yes. I'm sorry for your loss. Don't be. I told him to drop out if there were preliminaries. The arrogant fool just had to stay in the game. The fool insisted that he stay in the running so he could be close to Sasuke, but I knew it wouldn't work. That batch of genin were exceptional. The idiot got what he deserved. Kabuto added in his head. Naruto sat down next to Kabuto and ordered a bowl of ramen. You didn't seem to like him that much. I can feel some animosity toward him coming off of you. So what Orochimaru said was true. He can sense feelings just like the late Mito Uzumaki. Very interesting indeed. That's an interesting power you have. Not many people have sensory powers that strong. Tell me, what does my chakra tell someone like you about me? I can sense that you have a lot of hatred in your heart. Hatred that's focused on one person. Hatred born from love. Someone hurt someone you love and you want to get even with them. Is that right? Impressive. You should let go of that hate. If you do, open the door to becoming a stronger ninja. Kabuto pushed his half-eaten bowl of ramen toward Naruto and stood up to leave. You're an interesting boy, Naruto. I like you, so I'll give you a bit of advice. Stay away from Danzo if you want to keep your heart pure. That man can turn the most noble of warriors into a monster. Believe me. I know firsthand. Kabuto started walking away. I have some advice for you too. Don't be so hard on yourself. You aren't as bad as you think you are. Believe me. I can tell. That boy really is an interesting one. Kabuto thought as he walked away with a smile. After he finished his and Kabuto's ramen and recounting the events of the exam for Tsuchi and Ayam, Naruto left to go to the hot springs like he promised Kurama. Oh man, I've been waiting for this. Let's find a good spot. I see one over there. This is gonna be awesome. Naruto set up behind some bushes next to the women's hot spring and cut a small, barely noticeable hole in the wall. He used that hole to peek inside. Inside was like a pervert's dream come true. Naked women everywhere of all shapes and sizes. Curvy women, skinny women, thick women, women with big butts, women with big busts, dark-skinned women, pale women, tan women, women with long hair, women with short hair, women with obvious dye jobs, women with fake tits, women with real tits, women with tattoos. Every kind of woman you could imagine was in that hot spring, and Naruto was attracted to them all. We hit the motherlode. Oh my god, the proctor from the exam is here. Where? I wanna see. She's the one in the middle there. She's got two other women on each side. I see her. Holy shit, they just started kissing each other. Oh my god, they're really going at it. I fucking love this village. Naruto and Kurama were so focused on the amazing sight before them they failed to notice the man slowly creeping up behind them. He was soon so close to Naruto he could touch him. He bent over so his mouth was right next to the boy's ear. You're in my spot. The man whispered. Naruto froze in shock. He had literally no idea this guy was behind him. He slowly turned his head and came face to face with a man that he knew instantly. Jiraiya. You old bastard. Meanwhile with Hinata. Naturally, when Hinata arrived home, she was beckoned to her father's study where she found not only him but Niji waiting there for her. Hinata, I have heard from Niji the details of the preliminaries and his time in the forest. Please fill me in on your experience in the forest. Hinata recounted her time in the forest and her father was stone-faced as always. It's good to hear that you and your team performed admirably. I understand that you were the only member of your team that passed the preliminaries. Is this correct? Yes, father. Shino was defeated by a cloud girl who specializes in fire and sword techniques. Kiba fought Ino, the heir to the Yamanaka clan. I heard of the colorful things the Inuzuka was forced to say under the influence of the Yamanaka's technique. You fought Niji's teammate Tenten, correct? Yes, father. It was a tough fight, but I did win. Niji tells me you attempted the rotation technique but were unable to perform it correctly. Is that correct? Yes, father. I used up my chakra too fast and was unable to sustain it for as long as was necessary. Niji failed to mention where you learned this technique. Who taught it to you? No one. I remembered seeing you practicing it once and attempted it without any prior training in the technique. You were lucky you didn't waste so much chakra that you were unable to move after that. I forbid you from performing that technique again until you have mastered it. Father, will you teach me the technique now? No. If you manage to pass this exam and make Chunin status, then I will teach you the technique. Until then your old caretaker Ko will oversee your training. Niji has also volunteered to assist you. Yes, sir. My sensei told me she was coming to talk to me tonight about my training. I will tell her that I will be training with Ko and Niji. Very well. You are dismissed, Hinata. Niji, you stay here. I have things I still wish to discuss with you. Yes, sir. Hinata stood up and bowed to the two men and left the office. When he knew Hinata was out of earshot, Hayashi began his talk with Niji. How did you learn to perform the rotation? He bluntly asked Niji. Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. Hinata has never seen me perform the rotation. Her knowledge of the technique comes from the scrolls all main family Hyuga are required to read upon promotion to Genin. She also glanced at you for a split second after I asked her where she learned the technique. It's easy to deduce that she saw you perform the technique and attempted to copy it from you. Now, I'm going to ask again. How did you learn the technique? Fine then. The truth is my father managed to copy the techniques from the main family's scrolls before he died. He most likely intended to learn the techniques and then pass them on to me when I was ready. How was he able to hide that for so long? He hid the scroll he copied the techniques into with his secret stash of pornographic magazines. My brother had a secret stash of pornographic magazines? Exactly. Interesting. Niji, I know you most likely intended to teach my daughter to master the rotation without my knowledge, even though I just forbid her from learning it. I ask that if possible that you also teach her to master the 8 trigrams. She can only perform the technique up to 32 strikes. I will try, sir. May I ask why you forbid Hinata from learning the rotation if you knew I was going to teach her anyway? You must have noticed the way Hinata has changed lately. She's slowly but surely becoming more confident in her abilities. She didn't even stutter once while in my presence just now. If she has the strength of character to disobey me and master the rotation, then I will recognize her as my heir once again. But what about Hanabi? I thought you were grooming her to be the heir. Hanabi has no desire to be heir. She is a born fighter who belongs on the battlefield, not stuck behind a desk. Hinata, on the other hand, is compassionate, kind, and selfless. She is what the clan needs to prosper. I understand, sir. I will do my best to make sure Hinata realizes her true potential. Thank you, Niji. You are dismissed. Niji bowed and left, leaving Hayashi to his thoughts. Even he has changed. He no longer looks at Hinata with such hate-filled eyes. What in the world has caused them to change so much in such a short amount of time? Lord Hayashi? Niji asked as he walked back into the room. What is it, Niji? I'm just curious as to why you aren't more upset that I failed to pass the exam. It would be hypocritical of me to be angry since I failed my first attempt at the exam as well. So did your father. In fact, we lost to the same man. May I ask who was able to defeat you both? His name was Minato. He later went on to become the 4th Hokage. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, comment down below and let me know. Also share this video with your friends. I have created a playlist of this what if where you guys can find all the parts. See you in the next video.